Hillary Rodham Clinton is begging Donald Trump for a pardon. Hillary has been doing some serious groveling recently, publicly congratulating and applauding Donald Trump's recent victories and accomplishments, going as far as saying if Donald Trump can bring an end to the Russia-Ukraine war, she will nominate him herself for a Nobel Peace Prize. And all this is happening because Hillary and her husband Bill are scheduled to testify in October in front of the House Oversight Committee concerning their extremely close and intimate relationship with none other than Jeffrey Epstein. And despite what the conspiracy theorists may say about Donald Trump's relationship with Epstein, we know a couple of things to be true. If there was anything incriminating Donald Trump in the Epstein files, the Democrats would have released it. If there was anything that could have even been perceived as concerning or slightly incriminating, they would have released it. Hell, if there was anything that could have caused reputational damage in the court of public opinion, they would have released it. The Democrat establishment is so afraid of Donald Trump, they tried to assassinate him. So I'm confident they would have released the files and taken down a dozen high-profile Democrats if it meant putting an end to Donald Trump's political career forever. And the other thing we know to be true is Bill Clinton flew on Epstein's plane 26 times and frequently visited Epstein's island. In fact, on Epstein's island, there was a painting of Bill Clinton hanging up in his house. So yes, Donald Trump kicked it with Jeffrey Epstein in the 90s before any of this was exposed. But the relationship the Clintons had with him was far more nefarious, and that's why Hillary Clinton is now begging Donald Trump for a pardon. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but let's get right into it. Here is Hillary Clinton praising Donald Trump's administration for their foreign policy.
I actually was encouraged by the events of the last several months. First of all, the NATO commitment by individual member states to increase their defense spending is very welcome. It's something that prior administrations have certainly sought, and I think it's great that we are seeing these commitments that now have to be followed through on. The willingness of European countries to support Ukraine, and by doing so, buy American weapons in order to provide them to the Ukrainians. I think all of that is a very good signal that there is beginning to be a better understanding, both by the president and the people around him, as well as by the leaders of our European allies, that there can be common ground amongst us. And the kind of dismissiveness that we saw in the first Trump administration has been replaced by a much more obvious working relationship to the good of European security, transatlantic security, and hopefully Ukrainian security. So I'm actually encouraged.
Now, what you saw there was simply a common sense observation of the effectiveness of Donald Trump. But the person saying it is what makes it so noteworthy. Hillary Clinton is as Trump deranged as they get. And as somebody who's made their entire personality and platform Donald Trump's bad and I'm not him, we very rarely, if ever, see people this Trump deranged have anything positive to say about Donald Trump. And this isn't some lowly Democrat congressman. This is Hillary Clinton we're talking about. She's rich, she's powerful, she's connected. She's the last person who would break rank in the Democrats' losing battle against Donald Trump. The fact that she's saying this reveals that her situation is desperate and dire. Just think about the amount of pride she had to swallow to even allow that compliment to come out of her mouth. And it doesn't end there. Here she is saying that she will nominate Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize if he can bring an end to the war in Ukraine.
Honestly, if he could bring about the end to this terrible war where Putin is the aggressor, invading a neighbor country, trying to change the borders, if he could end it without putting Ukraine in a position where it had to concede its territory to the aggressor, had to, in a way, validate Putin's vision of greater Russia, but instead could really stand up to Putin, something we haven't seen, but maybe this is the opportunity, to make it clear that there must be a ceasefire, there will be no exchange of territory, and that over a period of time, Putin should be actually withdrawing from the territory he seized in order to demonstrate his good faith efforts, let us say, not to threaten European security. If we could pull that off, if President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Whether she said it jokingly or not is irrelevant, but there are two major takeaways from her statement. Number one, she is definitely groveling. She knows how important the Nobel Peace Prize is to Donald Trump, and she's stroking his ego in a very specific and intentional way. And number two, it exposes the entire Democrat grift. None of them think that he's a fascist. None of them think that he's Adolf Hitler. It was just a classless, low IQ, reactionary talking point to distract from the failures of the Biden administration. Joe Biden called Donald Trump a threat to democracy, and then is smiling ear to ear and friendly and cheery with Donald Trump when he visited the White House. Kamala Harris said the guy was a Nazi, but she certified the election and willingly handed over power of the US government to a supposed fascist. And now you have Hillary Clinton half joking, half seriously saying that she would nominate Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. If you really thought the man was Adolf Hitler and had these nefarious autocratic intentions, you wouldn't even joke about nominating that person for one of the most prestigious global medals you can receive. Not to mention, Adolf Hitler wasn't interested in stopping wars around the globe. All he wanted to do was perpetuate them. Another example of how Donald Trump is the most useless fascist anybody's ever seen. But just to remind you guys how much Hillary Clinton hates Donald Trump and how shocking this suddenly drastic rhetoric change is, here's what she had to say about Donald Trump only 2 days after the assassination attempt on his life.
I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is. We can't go back and give this very dangerous man another chance to do harm to our country and the world.
So you don't just go from what I just showed you guys to Donald Trump's second administration is so good, they're so effective, I might nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize for absolutely no reason. Hillary realizes she should be in jail for the whole email scandal, and Donald Trump spared her then. And she sees the walls closing in on her and Bill Clinton for their involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, and now she realizes once again the only person who can save her is Donald Trump. There is no other explanation for why one of the most high-profile Democrat figures would publicly acknowledge, let alone praise, any of Donald Trump's accomplishments. She's keenly aware her comments will further fracture the Democrat Party and cause more chaos and disorganization as the party continues to struggle to decide which direction they're going to take. And now Hillary Clinton is taking a giant wrecking ball to the foundation of the entire Democrat platform, which is Donald Trump is an evil authoritarian who can't do anything right. But let's hear Trump react to Hillary Clinton saying she will nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. This is funny.
In fact, did you see that Hillary Clinton yesterday said that if you got this deal done and not capitulate to Putin, that she would nominate you for the Nobel Peace Prize?
If President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, that was very nice. I may have to start liking her again.
I love how leftists will always say that people are capitulating to Donald Trump. They're bending the knee to Donald Trump. And to be quite honest, they're actually right. But they think it's because Donald Trump is this scary dictator who will threaten his political opponents with jail, with gulags. But that's not the reason. The reason is because all of these people are complicit in committing treacherous crimes. And they thought Donald Trump was going to go to jail, he was never going to get elected, and they would never be held accountable. Universities are settling with him because they blatantly broke the law and racially discriminated in admissions and in hiring. They're not settling because they just fear the wrath of Donald Trump and would rather be on his good side. It's because they are guilty, plain as day, of wrongdoings. Hillary Clinton isn't groveling because she's afraid Donald Trump will just arbitrarily come after her and Bill Clinton. It's because her and Bill Clinton are evil people who have done evil things. And now the Democrat establishment no longer has a stranglehold on all the major institutions in America, including the government, and their nefarious actions are being brought to light. Take a look at this clip from the upcoming House Oversight Committee hearing in which Bill and Hillary are going to have to testify.
These subpoenas today really is kind of a catch-all effort for anybody who might have been involved. Of course, the Clintons are involved because we know Bill Clinton flew on the plane. Ghislaine Maxwell was at the Clintons' daughter's, Chelsea Clinton's, at her wedding. And so I'm sure they've got a lot of questions to ask about that. I'm sure any opportunity to put the Clintons before a Republican-led panel would be something, obviously, that they would be interested in as well. So there is a political component to all of this, but there's also a let's just get everybody involved, get them in front of the committee and testify.
The Clintons are screwed, and I think it's about time that their crimes finally get exposed to the American public. Not only did Bill Clinton go to the island, but Ghislaine Maxwell was at their daughter's wedding. I mean, Donald Trump knew Epstein because Trump was a property developer and Jeffrey Epstein was a financier. He was known as a money guy. And Donald Trump was also a rich guy in Palm Springs where Jeffrey Epstein also lived, so it makes sense that they would cross paths both in a business context and in a social context. But why the hell would the Clintons be so chummy with this guy? And that's why in my videos, I enjoy peeling back the layers, taking a look at the actions and the meaning behind these actions, not simply the words that are coming out of somebody's mouth. Did Hillary Clinton blatantly come out and ask Donald Trump for a pardon? Of course not. She couldn't. In what world would you expect her to do that? So you have to think deeper. You have to look deeper. Why would someone who is such a staunch critic of Donald Trump, someone who is seemingly untouchable due to her political clout, someone who has talked about Trump being a dangerous authoritarian, now switching her tone to one of appeasement as she conveniently has to testify in front of the House Oversight Committee in just a few months? Hillary Clinton is so desperate for this pardon that she's willing to undermine the entire Democrat Party if it means saving her own skin. And this will cause more division and discombobulation in the Democrat Party, leading their approval rating to continue tanking as they desperately struggle to find a narrative other than Donald Trump bad, now that Hillary Clinton is saying, well, he's not that bad, he's pretty Nobel Peace Prize worthy, and further hurt their chances of making any kind of an impact in the 2026 midterms. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.